I'm gonna Okay, perfect. Hi, everyone, and welcome to Ask Me Agency. I'm so happy to be back with another one of these events. I enjoyed doing it the last time, and hopefully we give you some great insight today on lead list management. My name is Taylor, and I'm the marketing content coordinator at Agency Zoom. And I'm super excited to introduce you to both of our speakers for today. So I'm going to have Tony and Justin introduce themselves to you guys before we get into the questions.
Go ahead, Tony.
Go ahead, Justin. You go first.
Oh, okay. All right. We won't have a fight over who's going to be the biggest gentleman here. I'll go ahead and go. I'm Justin Miller. I'm in Huntsville, Alabama. I'm the agency operations manager for iProtect Insurance and Financial Services. Been an insurance agent for about 14 years, and that's probably about all that I need to share for now. I'll go ahead and let Tony take over.
My name's Tony Larizza. I'm in Vermillion, Ohio. I've been in insurance for 22 years as of May. So I've had large agencies I've been a part of. Now I'm down to 2. It's just me and my coworker, the only 2 in this agency. So I've run the gamut of a size of agencies.
Amazing. Well, I'm super excited to get to know you guys a little bit today. And again, I heard some incredible things about both of you guys. So before we get into it, I know that both of you have a different approach to lead list management, and you both have a different way of going about it. So I think everyone will get some great insight from both of you guys. And just so I can start off these questions, what kind of approach do you guys take when you start to manage your lead list? Both of you guys can answer this question.
I went first last time.
All right, I'll go first. So let me explain how ours works. So we're an insurance agency that is part of a large real estate operation in Ohio. So all the leads they get for selling a home, we get those exact same leads that we try to do the insurance for. So we'll have all the leads come into Agency Zoom. We download them from the real estate management system, and then they download it into Agency Zoom, and then we work the leads that way.
Okay. So to ask how we manage leads, I guess I'll kind of piggyback on what Tony said as far as where leads come from. For years, I've used Cole Dates and a couple of other online subscription sources, and I use their demographic filters and all kinds of geographic and the different filters they have to drill down to the lead list that we're looking for. We have 5 agency locations, and so that varies based on which location I'm pulling leads for. Obviously, it varies by location, but also some of our locations are looking for a different type of prospect than the other locations are. So I use a lot of my lead sources to manage what lists I end up with. Cole is good at it, but I also get a lot of lists from exactdata.com. And I've had good luck with getting lists from them, especially X-Date lists.
Mm-hmm. Got it. Thanks, guys. And it sounds like everyone's approach is different, and you kind of just have to figure out what works for you and your business over time. Is that correct?
Yeah, I know that for us, like I said, it's just 2 of us in the agency. So when all those leads flood in, we have to go through and separate them out between which ones are Kristen's leads, which ones are my leads. But I just love having Agency Zoom do this for us, because before we were just doing it all, like it was just piecemeal kind of. We were just taking pieces and trying to figure it out, and it just makes it so much easier now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I'm a big believer in, I love small lists and working those that are kind of a rifle approach, but I'm also a big believer in always having a large net shotgun approach going in the background. And so that's why I like the large lists from Cole, X-Dates, or from Exact Data, or from a couple of other sources. I don't want to keep naming sources because I'm not here to advertise for any of these folks, but I do like using large lists of a few thousand people and pump them into a system like Agency Zoom and use that to trickle out to them different marketing materials. I love tying Agency Zoom to something like thanks.io or postcards.com using Zapier, and have postcards and actual physical mailings be a part of those lists. We get good response on physical mailings, but I love having a lot of passive type marketing message going out to really large lists. Sounds like we are a little bit different from Tony in that the number of staff people that we have. So it's necessary to have enough hands on deck. If you're going to send out material to a large list, you've got to have adequate staff to handle whatever comes back. So I'm definitely not saying that's what Tony should be doing. If it were just me and one coworker, then there's no way I'd be sending out stuff to thousands and thousands of people. But based on the staff size that we've gotten to now, it definitely works for us having large lists that are receiving passive marketing constantly.
For sure. And that makes a lot of sense. Now moving into our next question, what are the qualifications that push certain leads to the top of a list?
For me, I don't really separate it out like that. I mean, they're all just as important as any of the other leads. So I mean, we just work them all at the same time. We don't deviate between, hey, this is one we got to work right now. This is one we got to work later. We do them all at the same time.
Yeah, I think that I would agree with that. I mean, the leads to me don't become higher or lower priority until they engage in the conversation. And we work the leads when we're working them and we're pushing our message out to them, we're pushing that out to the worst lead and the best lead alike, because we're not taking the time to learn the difference. We learn the difference when they engage in the conversation, and then there's a back and forth, and then we can differentiate them, right? On a large list, especially, they're just names on a list. We've qualified them by filters like income level and where their house is located, but we don't know them. We don't know things that would differentiate them and make them high or low priority. So we wait and make that distinction once we make contact and communicate with them.
Yeah, same here.
For sure. So that definitely brings us to our next question, and what goes into a good lead for you? And it sounds like these people have to actually engage for you to determine that.
Yeah, for us, like I said, we're getting the lead from a real estate company. So those people have already got a relationship with the realtor. So that kind of helps us a little bit. It's not like it's a cold call. It's like a warm lead, because they already know those people. So when Kristen and I call those people, we say, okay, my name's Tony. I'm calling from Russell Insurance. I know you work with so-and-so, and they said you might want a quote for insurance. So that makes it a lot easier for us, because they already have a relationship with somebody in our company.
Yeah, I would agree with that. You getting a referral, that's already someone who is somewhat qualified, right? They've gone through at least your referral sources scrutinizing process, which is probably similar to what yours would be. And again, we get these people on the phone. I think that what determines a good lead, if that was the question, what makes them a good lead for us, I think it all just depends on their willingness to engage in the conversation, and then just underwriting factors. Everybody watching this knows what they're looking for from an underwriting standpoint. So some of it varies based on your carrier mix. If you've got carriers that'll take anything and everything, then what makes a good lead for you is anybody who will participate in the conversation. If you've got really conservative carriers, then that bar is set higher. You need people who can get through a more stringent underwriting process. But the first thing that makes them a good lead for us is whether or not they're willing to talk.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And the question after that was, how do you refine your list? So it just all makes sense now on, if they're not engaging, then like that's where they're kind of cut off.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things Agency Zoom will do is it'll help refine that list for you. These people that are receiving like smart cycle communication, your lead list is getting refined by, first of all, email bounces, and then unsubscribes, people that receive that stuff for months and never react. I mean, we'll go back into who's been receiving content, and the ones who either haven't bounced back because they're bad emails, or who have chosen to unsubscribe and say, leave me alone. The rest of them, I can kind of disqualify some of them based on how long they've been receiving things, and they still won't answer our phone calls or won't engage with us. So I think that the Agency Zoom system is kind of helping us answer that question. It's refining the lead list for us.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I just had one yesterday where the lady already told me she was not going to go ahead with us for the insurance. She was going someone else, but she got the automated email. I forgot to turn it off. And she's like, oh, I apologize for not telling you, but we're not going with you. So even, I mean, those are the ones you want because she's responding to everything that's being sent to her. Unfortunately, I didn't get it though.
Yeah, we won't read most of the replies that I get here on the air. When you're sending stuff out to large cold leads, you get some interesting replies.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I'm sure.
Makes work fun.
Are there any elements of the process that you think are tedious or time wasting? I mean, it sounds like agency Zoom, as we know, makes lives easier, but are there any elements that you feel people just shouldn't waste their time on?
Not for me. I mean, I wish we had the staff to use it for more marketing stuff like Justin's doing. I mean, we don't have a ton of that, but I mean, we've done a few pieces here and there, but no, I mean, there's nothing that I feel like, oh, this is tedious and they should take this away. Actually, there's been a few times where they've done something to change the system and I like freak out because it totally looks different when I go in there and I call on Cat like freaking out, like what is happening? I like that. I like those extra steps. I don't want anything to deviate from how they have it now. I just like the order. It works. It flows nice, and I don't want to change it.
Yep, I agree with that. I would say inside the context of agency Zoom, I'm fine with the way that system works. I don't see a lot of necessary changes. If I zoom out and look though at just the general process of working lead lists and acquiring the lists and bringing them in and filtering through them, contacting them. Yeah, there's a lot of tedious stuff in that process, but tedious to me does not equal a waste of time. There's a lot of necessary, beneficial work that is tedious. It's repetitive, but we say a lot here at our agency that the single greatest sales tool ever known to man sits on our desk all day long. And so the tedious part to me is just the repetitive nature of working these lists, but it works. It puts premium on the books. It's a tried and proven system. So that's not specific to agency Zoom. I think agency Zoom's as good as a CRM can be, but the working of large lists has some tedious stuff to it, but the payout at the end of the day makes it worth just going back through, putting your head down, going back through the tedious work because you know what's coming at the end of it.
All right. I mean, I feel like before agency Zoom, I was trying to remember to follow up. My follow-up started slipping through because we were getting so much business. I couldn't keep up. And I mean, once we got agency Zoom, that took care of all that stuff. So that just that was a huge time consuming thing that I don't have to deal with anymore. It's automatically done for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, we just make lives easier out here. And I love to hear that from you both. Do you guys think that there's a more efficient way of refining your list? I mean, I know you guys said that the tedious work is important, but do you think that kind of goes hand in hand with refining your list down? Is there a more efficient way of doing it?
I mean, the only thing for me is, like I said, it's just me and my coworker. When that list comes in, we have to separate out which leads are mine, which leads are hers, because we have 9 or 10 different offices, and it's based on which office we work out of. So that's the biggest thing for me is I wish it would just all go, the ones go to her, it's assigned to her right away, and then ones that go to me are assigned to me right away. But if that takes us like 5-10 minutes to figure out, so it's not that big a deal. But that's about the only thing I would change.
Yeah, there probably is a more efficient way. You could probably look at anything I do in the course of a day and say, man, Justin, there's a much more efficient way to do that. There's probably a more efficient way to do it, but refining of this list, part of it agency Zoom does. That part's not inefficient because I'm not really doing anything. The system is doing it. The part that I do, the filtering of the lists and qualifying these people, there's probably a more efficient way, but at the same time, it's kind of a personal process. Some of it is based on agent's preference. It's based on, I've been doing this for X number of years. There's a certain type of client I prefer to deal with, or there's a certain type of risk I'm comfortable quoting. I don't know a lot about commercial. I'm going to stick to personal. There's just a lot of things that go into it, and it can become personal. And it's one of those things that there's probably a more efficient way, but I'm really happy with the result that I'm getting. So it's not broken. I'm not going to try to fix it. Having said that, though, we have tried recently something that we're tinkering with. We've handed off the processing, or the refining rather, of our lead lists to one of our VAs. We have 2 VAs that are virtual. They work in the Philippines, and do backroom stuff for us. we've handed off the refining of commercial lead lists to one of those VAs. And even though that person's doing a great job, I think that what we're seeing is that a certain amount, maybe even the majority of the refining of that list almost needs to be done by an experienced, licensed agent that knows more about what they're looking at. And I don't mean to insult that VA at all. They do a fantastic job. They just don't have the decade or two of experience in the insurance business to know when they look at a list and they're refining it, who might be a good risk and who might not. So there might be a more efficient way, but sometimes trimming the fat and becoming more efficient causes sacrifices on the end result. And that's just not worth it to me.
That makes a lot of sense. And I think that is it for today, guys, but I'm super happy that we had this discussion. And I already know that all of our viewers got amazing insight from you guys. And I think a big takeaway is just that everyone's approach is different and you will figure it out over time, and Agency Zoom will make your life easier.
And if you have questions, call Tony. Tony, throw your phone number out there if you don't mind.
I'm good.
Yeah, just say it out loud. Just say it out loud. No, I'm kidding. But thank you so much, Tony and Justin, for being with us today. And I'm super grateful that I got to speak with you both.
Yeah, anytime.
Thank you.
Amazing.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Have a nice day.
Thank you too.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.